Hi, it's Maureen Muldoon and Course in Miracles lesson 105. And this is a good lesson. The lesson is lesson 105. God's peace and joy are mine. God's peace and joy are yours today, and we will accept them knowing that they belong to us. This is the day the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad. That's the good news. And it says we will try to understand that these gifts increase as we receive them. So as we receive these gifts, they increase. How is that possible? I know it's crazy. It's like the crazy mathematics of A Course in Miracles that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the world, but it does make sense in spirit. So it says they are not like the gifts of the world. Okay, so it says they're not like the gifts of the world. They're not like the gifts the world can give, in which the giver loses as he gives the gifts. The taker is the richer by his loss. Such are not gifts, but bargains made with guilt. The truly given gifts entail no loss. The truly given gifts entail no loss. It is important that one can gain it is impossible that one can gain when another loses. That's impossible. This implies a limit and an insufficiency. And there's no limit or insufficiency to God's love. That's why it's impossible. It says, no gift is given thus. Such gifts are but a bid or for a more valuable return, a loan with interest, to be paid in full, a temporary lending meant to be a pledge of debt, to be repaid with more than was received by him who took the gift. This strange distortion of what giving means pervades all levels of the world you see. It strips all meaning from the gifts you give, and it leaves you nothing in the ones that you take. So it's basically saying that in the world that we live in, we have this thing called giving and receiving that we've totally distorted, and we're afraid to receive because we think, oh, I don't want to receive because then I'm going to owe them something. This isn't just true giving. I'm going to owe them something. And then we also think, well, if I give to you, then I'm going to keep score, so that you owe me, now you owe me because I've given to you. So this is what passes as giving and receiving here. Crazy. All right, so it goes on to say the major learning goal of this course has set is to reverse your view of giving and receiving. To reverse your view of giving so that you can receive. For giving has become a source of fear, and so you would avoid the only means by which you can receive. So we're afraid of giving, so we're afraid of receiving, we're afraid of receiving, we're afraid of giving, and we've just completely polluted this whole thing called giving and receiving. It says, accept God's peace and joy, and you will learn a different way of looking at a gift. God's gifts will never lessen when they are given away. God's gifts will never lessen when they are given away. They but increase thereby. My mother taught me that when I was a little kid. She said, when you give something away to someone who really needs it, it will be returned to you tenfold. And I learned that lesson time and time again. And even when I didn't want to give, those things still returned to me tenfold. So this mathematics actually works, even though it doesn't make any sense. It says, as heaven's peace and joy intensify when you accept them as God's gifts to you, so does the joy of your Creator grow, and when you accept His joy and peace as yours. True giving is creation. True giving is creation, because the only love can create. And when we give, the only thing we can really give is love. And so when we give love, we're creating. True giving is creation. It extends the limitless to the unlimited, eternity to timelessness, and love into itself. It adds to all that is complete already, not in simple terms of adding more, for that implies that there was less before. It adds by letting what cannot contain itself fulfill its aim by giving everything it has away, securing it forever for itself. So there's an example of this when a kid walks into a room who's just lit up and enjoying. They're singing and they're dancing and they're just, they're in their happy, joyful peace of God. They're not giving that to anyone. They're just experiencing it to such a full degree that it cannot help but be like a volcano of love out of them, and everyone who's around gets affected by it. And so we see that love is contagious, actually. This expression of love, this owning of God's love and peace and joy is by owning it, by receiving it, by letting it come through us. That's how we share it. We share from the abundance. We let it overflow from us. And it's funny because we see how love is contagious. We see how we get lit up by someone else's joy. And yet we give that same attribute to sickness. We say, "Oh, they came into work today and they got me sick. I was contagious." That sickness could be contagious. That's crazy. That's crazy. Only love is contagious. Take that to your doctor. Give him that prescription. It says, when we receive God's gifts, we light up. Oh, that's not what we said. That's what I said. When we receive God's gifts, we light up, and our lighting up is our gift back to God. So it says, today our practice period will start a little differently. Begin today by thinking of those brothers who have been denied by you the peace and love and joy that is their right under the equal laws of God. Here you deny them yourself. Here you deny them for yourself as well. And here you must return to claim them as your own. Think of your enemy a little while and tell each one as he occurs to you, my brother, peace and joy I offer you, so that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. Thus prepare yourself to recognize God's gifts to you, and let your mind be free of all that would prevent success today. Now are you ready to accept the gift of peace and joy that God has given you? Now are you ready to experience the joy and peace that you have denied yourself? Now you can say, God's peace and joy are mine, for you have given what you would have received. You must succeed today if you prepare your mind as we suggest. So that means you cannot fail. I love that. For you have let all bars to peace and joy be lifted up, and what is yours can come to you at last. So tell yourself, God's peace and joy are mine today, and close your eyes a while, and let his voice assure you that the words you speak are true. God's peace and joy are mine today. Spend your 5 minutes thus, top of the hour, every 5 minutes. Spend this 5 minutes with him each time you call today, but do not think that less is worthless when you cannot give him more. So if you only have a minute, don't think, oh, I failed. I only had a minute to give to recognizing my peace and joy with God. So give him what you got. Do your best. Your best is always best. That's what I say. You can quote me on it. Your best is always best. At least remember hourly to say the words which call to him to give you what he wills to give and wills to you to receive. Determine not to interfere today with what he wills. And if a brother seems to tempt you to deny God's gifts to him, see it as but another chance to let yourself receive the gifts of God as yours. And then bless your brother thankfully and say, my brother, peace and joy I offer you, that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. So basically it's saying, don't let anyone ruffle your feathers or steal your peace of mind. And if somebody threatens to ruffle your feathers or steal your peace of mind, recognize it as an opportunity to know God's peace and joy again. And say to that person, I'm going to offer you peace and joy. I'm not going to try and be right here. I'm not going to try and prove you wrong. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to offer you peace and joy so that I may have it as my own. It's a great day to practice this. It's a great day to practice this.
It's not that